This next series of 3 to 4 videos is going to be a pure introduction to Revit for those of you who've not been exposed to it at all and just want to have some basic concepts. So I'm going to start off by you've got to open up Revit, obviously, and we've got 2016 that we're using here for this year anyway. When you open up Revit, this is the start page, and you will have current projects that show up here. You can open an existing project, or we can start a new project. I'm going to hit start a new project, and I'm going to use the default architectural template that's shown right in the drop down here. So if you hit architectural template, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new project out of that template, you are taken into a new setup that's a very stripped down example of a very basic architectural template. The way that Revit works is you have a browser area here, which allows you to see your different levels. Levels are the number of floors that you have. They don't necessarily have to be just floors. They can be roof levels or mezzanine levels and things like that. You got ceiling plans for reflected ceiling plans for commercial projects. You have elevations area here, and these are actually pointing to where our elevations will appear. When we create a model here, you'll see how that works. And as we keep going down, we have legends, schedules, sheets, and then this families and groups area is where all of the downloaded families that are already preloaded into the file are, and same thing with groups. So we need to have this open. If you accidentally close this, the best way to get it back on again is to go to the View tab, User Interface, and make sure that your project browser is turned back on. Above that is the Properties section, and this Properties area or window is necessary with Revit because everything that we do to control the model is controlled through the Properties. If we want to change a wall type, you do it in Properties. If you want to change a window size, you do it in Properties. If you want to change how a view behaves, you do it in Properties. So right now we have Level 1 is currently what we're looking at here. Level 1 is also highlighted, and the properties of Level 1 is shown here. So I can see the scale. If I scroll down a little bit further, I can see what kind of discipline it's been set up to view. If I scroll down a bit further, we have this view range, which is very important with views. If we edit that view range, you can see that this view is set up to show me level 1, 7 feet 6 inches above that level, which is the top of the view, meaning we're not going to see anything above that 7 feet 6 inches from the floor level, level 1. Cut plane is set to 4 feet, so 4 feet above this floor level will be cut, like in, our theoretical cut plane in our plan views. The bottom will go to level 1 and not go beyond, so we won't see anything beyond that level. And then view depth is also set to 0. So if I chose to set these to like a negative value, for instance, then it would show to level 0 plus whatever value I put below it. If there was a foundation below, I wanted to see something, or some kind of bulkhead door that was below that level 1 that I'd want to see, I could change those numbers. After that, we have tabs. Up here, the tabs are content driven. So if I have the architectural tab selected, then I'm able to do all of the things in this tab, which is kind of the create tab. I can create walls, doors, windows, columns, roofs, ceilings, floors, and so on. Components are everything else that falls under created objects that don't fall under the standard categories listed here. We have a circulation section for vertical circulation for ramps, railings, and stairs. Model for creating model lines when we need to. For rooms, we have room separations, openings, datums where we can create levels. Notice levels is grayed out. As soon as I go to an elevation view, however, let's go to the south elevation, do you see that level becomes active because we can create levels in a vertical direction but not any levels in a horizontal direction. So when we're looking at the model in a horizontal view like here, the level is not available. If we go to structure, these are all structural elements, and those are read as structural elements that show up for structural disciplines. Under systems, you have plumbing, electrical, mechanical. We have insert to insert different drawing types. We have annotate to add dimensions and add detail components and text. There's analyze, massing, and cite for topography and site information. There's collaborate for collaborating with multiple users within a set of a project in a real life situation, especially in large commercial projects and things like that. So there's not just one person working on this project, so we have to create work sets. Work sets allow different users to borrow pieces of the model and build what they need to build within the model, and then put the piece back so that other people can be working on the model at the same time. Views allow us to create different types of views of our model, and then we got manage, which is where we set projects setups and phases and design options and so on, get add-ins for additional things that we use as add-ons to Revit, and then finally modify, which we use pretty extensively when we're editing or changing or customizing our existing model. All right, to give you the basics, I am just going to draw a wall, and I'm going to use a 6-inch generic wall, and I want to define the wall by the outside face, a core face exterior. And I'm going to make the wall connected to level 2. So when I start to draw this, you always want to draw in a clockwise direction. So I want to start, let's say here, and I want to define that wall as 40 feet. I can drag, type in 40, change direction, let's make that 20, change direction, we'll make it 40 again, and then we can close those walls. So those walls, as I had said, let's pick this up and position it to the center here. Those walls can be seen as in elevation by us either double clicking on this elevation view, and you can see the elevation view I ended up opening was the east elevation. So the east is associated with right, and this is that wall right there. I think it will be more apparent once I add some windows and doors. So let's go to level 1, and I'm just going to pop in a door, just one of the generic doors that are there, and we'll put in a couple of windows. Notice that the windows are not available unless I actually click on a wall. So here's our windows. I'm just using all the same type of window for now, and we'll add another door here on this side. Okay, now when we add doors and windows, you can see that when I select on a door and a window, I get these arrows. I can flip the swing and the hinge. Also, when I place windows, you've got to be careful to place them so that the outside window is on the outside. So this is showing windows flipped in the wrong direction. I'm going to put those arrows to the outside so that window is flipped in the right direction. Now if we go to those elevation, let's go back to that east elevation, we can see those doors and windows appear inside of that view. So let's add a roof to this. So I'm going to add a roof. And I'm just going to make that, yeah, we want this on level 2 actually. I'm in the wrong level. It's warning me, hey, do you want to be on level 1 or level 2? I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to use the wall, pick wall 2, and I'm going to set an overhang of 2 feet. And the default pitch, I think, is 9/12 pitch. We want to change our generic roof to a generic 9-inch roof. And I'm going to use the pick walls tool and pick around the exterior walls here. We can see that each pink line that we see here is a sketch, basically, that we're creating a boundary of where that roof is going to go. When we create roofs, floors, ceilings, this mode will become active. Stairs have the same thing, so we're in a sketch mode, and we're temporarily using pink lines that indicate the boundary of whatever it is we're drawing. In this case, because we're drawing a roof, each one of those boundaries, I'm going to hit escape here so I can select a line. Each one of those boundaries also has an overhang or a slope associated with it. If I don't want that side to slope, I can turn off the slope. And you see that the symbol for that pitch symbol is gone. As a default, we get a 9/12 pitch. I'm going to select all 4 lines by holding the control key down. You can see that in properties I have that 9/12 pitch showing up over here. I'm going to change it to a 6/12 pitch and hit apply. Now I want to see what that roof looks like. I've got to finish the sketch. So I click on the green checkbox, and I can go to a 3D view. This is the 3D view up here. I can also go to that 3D view by finding that 3D view down here. Looks like that 3D view isn't showing up down here right now. That's curious. So let's go to that 3D view. It's going to generate one. There it is. Now we can see the 3D view. And if I hit the Shift key and the middle button on my mouse, I can zoom around and see the model as I make it. I can also create some more sophisticated views like sections and details. So let's go to that level 1, and I'm going to cut a section. There's a section. I can also cut a section by going to views and clicking on the section tool and just create a section. When I create that section, not only does it put the annotation of where I want my cutting plane line in, it actually creates the section. There's the section right there that we just created, section 1. If I double click on the bubble, it jumps to that view. While we're in a view, we can control the detail level. So detail level is set to coarse as a default. We've got medium and fine. If I change this to medium, and I happen to change my wall type from generic to something more specific, let's go ahead and do that. Actually, before I do that, I want to make sure this says core face exterior, and it does. And I'm going to switch this to a exterior brick on metal stud. Now we can see that the wall, where the core of the wall or the structure of the wall was, remained in the same place, but now we've got a whole lot more information here as far as the layers that are in the wall system. Here's their metal stud layer, there's the brick layer, and then we've got an airspace on the inside. If I wanted to change all my walls to that new wall type, I could select one of the walls, right click, select all instances visible in view. It's going to select the rest of the walls. Actually, I want to select all instances in entire project. Then that way it's going to select the two walls we can't see. I'm going to switch them all to that new wall type. So now we have a brand new wall type, and in this view with it set to medium detail, we can see all of those layers. If I switch it back to coarse, you're just going to see two lines representing the thickness of the walls. If I go to fine, you will see even more details if we go in closer. So let's change our scale to 1 inch equals a foot. And then with fine detail set, we can see the hatch patterns that we're going to use for those specific layers. And so there's the different levels of detail that we have. Here are our levels, level 1, level 2. So these walls are now connected to those two levels. If I select that wall, we can see it's connected to level 1, connected to level 2. If I choose to change the height of level 2, let's say to 12 feet, the walls go with it. And that's very important to understand how Revit does that, because connecting walls and connecting them appropriately really saves you a great deal of time on your project. So let's set those walls back to, let's try 9 feet, and we'll see what it looks like. Great. So let's go back to our 3D view. In the 3D view, you can see it's changed a bit because we've got our brick walls. As soon as we zoom in close enough, we can see them. We can also change our graphics display. So let's try realistic. And with realistic turned on, we can actually see the rendered image of bricks on the face of the walls. We can see the wood grain on the doors and the trim on the windows. Because this roof is a generic roof, we're not seeing any roof pattern, but if I were to swap it out for wood rafter 8-inch asphalt shingle insulated, now we're going to see the shingles on the roof as well. So those are the basics, the very basics. And that's so hopefully shows you how you can really use Revit for creating a building information modeling system, or building, because BIM can stand for Building Information Modeling or Building Information Management System. So I've just scratched the surface here of what it's capable of doing, but you can see how comprehensive it all is.